Hey folks, what's up? It's Wednesday. You know what that means? Actually, that's from AEW. Damn, I'm gonna have to change that one. Didn't mean to bite all that. Sorry about that. Although love AEW, outstanding. So this week we have got as I always like to say as a joke, here comes a new challenger with someone's debut comic, which was damn awesome.
Yeah.
We've got some comics like some. This is pretty much an indie episode. I'm trying to think of anything that we have that's like big three. Yeah, I can't really think of it honestly. I mean,
No.
we've got Cli-Fi, we've got Intergalactic Guardians, we've got Vigilantes, we've got like some outer space stuff, and we've got some supernatural going on, magic doing, and we've also got a conversation about men's mental health month. Got a lot going on, so we're going to jump into it. Robert, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's go, folks. Is that how we're going to do this? That's how. Yeah, that's fine. Hey, folks, what's up? This is TBA News Comics Culture Chat. I am Antonio Pomares, aka the Hungry Bleak. You can take that however you want. And as always, with me,
It's Robert J. Ryder.
there you go, writer and writer,
I gotta work on
ride or
that.
die,
Yeah, ride or die.
both. Man, it's Wednesday. It's New Comic Book Day. There were a lot of comics that came out. And there was some news that I was looking at too, like I saw like trailers of comics that are coming up. I love the
Yeah.
fact that we're having trailers of comics. I love the fact that we're getting trailers and commercials for comics, which is something that I have talked about for years for the indie community. Because once I saw DC had a trailer slash commercial for a comic, and I was like, why don't y'all have it? What like why like where are y'all at? This is dope. It was for, I want to say it was Last Night on Earth, like that Batman story.
Okay.
Um, I didn't read it, but I just love the fact of seeing DC will usually have a lot of like commercials, because I saw it when I was on YouTube. I don't know if Marvel, I think, does a little bit, but DC does it a lot.
Yeah.
Starting to see Image is really killing it with theirs are really cool, honestly.
hmm
Um,
Are
it's
they
great.
like the motion comics one, or are they like fully animated?
No, they're like the motion comics,
Okay.
and then like the voiceover over it, and like
Yeah.
showing. Sometimes they'll show like the actual creator that's on it, or sometimes they'll just say the name, what have you.
Yeah.
Either way, like, and I was looking at it, and I was like, yeah, that's like my dream gig, is to just like kind of do voiceover for these. Like, I mean, honestly, that's
I
like one of
mean,
the coolest things ever. Whatever. I was really in my head last night looking at looking at stuff, and I was like, I don't. And I was like, all right, fine, whatever. But okay, so we have got some ridiculously awesome comics, killer comics. Come to think of it, and the first one is definitely killer, and this is They Choose Violence. Wow, I was not expecting this. I was knocked on my behind by this one.
oh
Uh,
wow.
this was, yeah. I was like, oh, okay, this is how we're going, and it's only 5 issues, and the first issue ramped up so quickly. I was like, where are you going from here? I don't
Wow.
know. This is from AWA Studios, which is a company that I'm really getting into and starting to really like dive into. Written. This is a writer is Sheldon Allen. Illustrator is uh, Mauricio Campatella. Color by Danielle Caramancio. Caramanico. I apologize if I'm butchering your name. Letterer is Matt Bowers. This is yeah. This one hit like a freight train. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
Hmm.
First, when you have a comic and you open up with a Malcolm X quote, I know we're going somewhere.
Yeah.
And the quote is, "I don't even call it violence when it's in self defense. I'll call it intelligence." Okay, so I knew where we were going, and obviously from the title, They Choose Violence. You know where you're going as well. You're not getting a patty cake game. You're absolutely not. So basically, this is the story of three black women, and different their friends, and in different areas of their life, and they are tired of the I don't know how else to say, of the massacre of black people and black folks in America. They're tired of it. seeing continuously one after another getting murdered by people who were supposed to be trusting police officers.
Mhm.
And they say no more, we're done, because someone in their life is murdered. So they decide to go after the cop that killed this person. One of them is a lawyer, one of them is a cop. I forget what the other person is. And they've been these good friends, but they decide enough is enough. We're going all out. We're going to stop this. And they go after the cop, get him, and then they say, well, that's not enough. Why don't we just take down the whole system? And they go after everyone who's, corrupt. And this isn't like superhero type stuff. This is like straight up. This is like they train for at a certain point. They begin to train. They begin to take on a whole new way of life. They're training, they're learning, they're watching patterns, they're figuring out. The first kill is on one of their birthdays, just so happened to be. Then they say, well, we need to take on more people. So what they do is they start doing it purposely on people who have been murdered birthdays. Like they go on, I believe they go on I'm trying to think of the name. There was so many names. I know that they went out. They went on everyone who's been killed by police. They've killed one of these corrupt.
Mhm.
They start going after lawyers, judges, anyone who's part of the corrupt system. They go after them on their birthday, and it culminates to a point. I'm going to spoil it if that's okay, because I don't know how to even comprehend where they went with this. They get to the end, and it's the night of the election. Think you know where we're going. And you see on the TV screen, it says Trump and Pence, and he's been elected president. And they're like, I think we know how far we need to go. And that's the end of the issue. I will show you more of the comic, but it gets a bit, as this page will show you, it gets a bit graphic. Not expecting that end. And that's how I knew that it was more based. It wasn't like, vigilante superhero type stuff. It was thank you, M. Shy.
Yeah.
I knew this would hit with M. Shy. The minute I read it, I was like, yeah, M. Shy would probably like this. Yeah. You have me. It's almost like telling the joke. 3 black women, and Sherry starts laughing. I'm like, I didn't actually tell the joke yet. She's like, don't care. And it just becomes this really wild thing. I don't know where they're going from that, but with the beginning of the story, and that's where the first issue ends, I don't know where else we're going. I was caught incredibly off guard by it, but in a way that was needed. As a black man, obviously, I've seen, I've heard, I've dealt with all manners of officials, and they've seen some of the most horrible things happen in our community. So to see these 3 black women taking out these corrupt officials was wild. Excuse me. And just the fact that, like I said, it wasn't like superhero. It wasn't like, there's no batarangs or there's no like grappling hooks. Like they were training for years to do this and doing it over time. And their lives begin to change as well. And their ways of being. The comic obviously is graphic in nature. I think they even had a not safe for work label on there. I was like, never saw that on the comic as far as, but I like that. Yes, it does get there is violence, there is gore, there is nudity, there is a sexual content in it as well. This one was a gut punch that was needed, I'm gonna say. And it just shows that sometimes the comics are a medium where you are able to tell a story, and sometimes you need to tell a story that no one else is telling, or that you just feel in your gut, you just feel needs to be told. And it's your way of kind of a cathartic way of you getting out whatever's inside of you. That's what they've done. And I was caught all the way off guard. I wanted to see where else this goes, because that ending, when I saw Trump, I was like, oh, this is where we're going with this. Don't know how it's going to end. He says in the beginning, he says, this isn't going to end how you think it's going to end.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yes, this is they. I was like I said, I was like eating, and I was like, wait, what? And it totally knocked me off my. So this is They Choose Violence from AWA Studios.
Yeah, because even on that first page, I saw like a Nas album, I saw Truth, and then there's something in
Mm-hmm.
between before you got to the Malcolm X quote. And I was just like, okay, I'm very interested in seeing what this is about. It kind of reminds me vibe wise of like Genius by Mark,
Yes, yes.
Bernardin and Afua
Oh,
Richardson. Um, so
love
I
that.
love that. I keep telling people, look at, and we say this on the show all the time, use this medium not to just tell superhero stories, and this is, I could tell you a few people right off the bat who want to read this, like, just like straight up.
Yeah,
Wow. Okay. Yeah, it's on my list. I was looking it up while you were talking about it.
it's yeah. You'll notice, folks, that all the comics that I'm showing today are on Global Comics medium. I'm gonna be honest with you. Um, I was because I had comics that I wanted to look up. I was gonna do actually Bloodletter, but
Mhm.
I didn't get the digital for it. I have, excuse me, my hard copy, but I don't have a digital for it. It just wasn't, just didn't come up today, unfortunately. That's probably like a distribution thing or sometimes that happens, whatever. Um, but yeah, so I said, you know what? Let me just sift through Global Comics. Global Comics is incredibly indie friendly, incredibly creator friendly, and I was like, oh. And I heard about it ways back, but I forgot, and I read it, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah. So They Choose Violence. Like I said, folks, it is graphic in nature, whether from the violence or the sexual content, nudity, um, or even the subject matter. If it's something that you've been through, because I know a lot of us Black folks, we've been through a lot. There's a lot of trauma. So if this book is something that might trigger something with you, take it step by step. Use your own discretion, please. But yeah, that yeah, yeah. That's all I got to say. I can't say anything else. So yeah, yeah. All right. I was like, woof, okay. But this is one that I knew about, read about, mouth would have been watering about it, and I want to talk about this. This Robert Jeffrey.
Yeah, we talking about Fumes. You want to talk about amazing Black women behind the scenes and on the pages. Fumes is it's a book published by Metropia Comics
Mhm.
and written, created by Imshai Dash, and I'm pulling up the credits page. Script by Dash and Greg Burnham, with the art and colors by Tia Ekum and Tahila Ekum. And please forgive me if I mispronounce that. Letters by the Division names and covers by Tia Tahila and Kanan White. So, or Kanan White. So, um, I'm just going to put a disclaimer on this. I've known her for a few years. We know each other through blacksci-fi.com. She's a writer with the website. But aside from that, I'm a fan of her work. I've read some of her prose, a lot of her articles, for the website. So I know she can write. Like she's a she's a killer writer, and the same for Greg Burnham. Like we've talked him up plenty of times on this podcast and just across the board. So when I saw that Imshai was doing a Kickstarter for based on one of her prose, on one of her short stories, I got excited because I like to see authors who are kind of working in both the spaces of prose and comics and actually expanding, possibly even expanding the universes of either or in the different mediums. Some of the examples I always give are like Ellie Banks and somebody that we talk about a lot on this show, Greg Rucka, with his series. I was going to say it's the one about the
Lazarus.
spy. What was that?
Oh, I'm a Queen and Country.
Queen and Country, yeah. So Queen and Country. So I'm hoping we get like an extended universe, from with Fumes. But as far as the summary of this, and I just want to make sure I'm getting this right. It's set in a universe where I was actually looking for. There's a specific term for this called climate fiction, so cli-fi, and we're focusing on a character that's in this post-apocalyptic world, and her name is I'm pulling up my notes right here, Eula, and she goes by Yu Sumter, and we see that she's a part of this. It's like kind of a covert ops army group. I felt like vibes of like Alien Space Marines. It has an Alien Space Marines vibe to it, which I love.
Hmm.
And we encounter her on her first mission as she's hunting these creatures called the Greens. And um, this is one of those ones that I don't want to give too much about the story, but she's hunting the Greens, these creatures that look like a mixture. And all shout out to praise and shout out to the art team, a disgusting group of like alien hybrids. They're a mix of like humanoid squids with jellyfish heads, and she's in the field. We see her in the field. Hunting these things, or at least scoping them out. And from there, the story just kind of grows into this like bigger thing where we have a conspiracy about her background. In addition to, there are another group of aliens or creatures called the Reds, which she's not allowed to kill. So the question is like, why can't I kill the Reds? And it just kind of grows from there. But I noted that fighting these monsters isn't all it seems to be. And so it just kind of grows and grows from there. But one of the things that I especially loved was the relationship between Yu and Ridgen, who's her boyfriend. And the comparison that I came up with was Astrid and David Noble in the series Noble, because there's a sequence in this where I'm just going to say it. I love seeing Black love in comic books, and seeing them fighting back to back was very awesome. But in addition to that, it seems, at least at this point in the story, like Rigdon can, he can kick butt with Ridgen, can kick butt with the best of them. But it seems as if he's more of at the base. He's the intelligence. He's a computer guy who can, still kind of knuck and buck with the best of them. But Yu is the one that's in the field. She's the field operative, and we see the action mainly taking place with her. And that's something that I loved about the story, the kind of the role reversal, because normally with these stories, it's always the dude that's in the field and who's like kicking butt, and then you have the tech kid who's the woman at the back at the base. So I love the role reversal. I love their relationship, but also love that they are working together to uncover this mystery. The other thing I would say that I did appreciate about this is that the origin for this is not a big origin story. We get her origin in like the first few pages of the book, and it was just like let's hit the ground running with telling the story. It was set in present day. So the story is definitely, as you can see from the artwork, it gets a bit violent and gory or whatever. So this is like, I'd say 17 and up. I mean, I could be wrong, 16 and up, but it is a really good introduction into a world that I want to see more of, that deals with a topic, and it's climate change, which is, without giving too much about it. And we have a heroine who kicks ass and takes names, but she's at the middle of this like larger mystery that we are going to continue to grow and see. So shout out to the art team, to Imshai and Greg. This is a really good start to something that I want to see continue on and on and on for future issues.
Yeah, this one I had the pleasure of reading, Quirky Black Sci-Fi Tales, Volume 1 and 2. This Fumes is based on a story from Volume 2.
Yeah.
And just, I know M. Shai's been wanting to do comics for I don't know how long, probably, and just hearing her talk about it and learning the process, and she really learned the craft of this, because writing in different forms, whether it's you're doing comics, whether you're doing novels, whether you're doing prose, whether you're doing short stories, anthologies, the movie scripts, television scripts, playwright, jokes, whatever it is, it doesn't always translate. Just because you write one doesn't mean you can write all of them. So she really went to task and learning about the comics and learning about the storytelling aspect of it and how to adapt. And what her and Greg have done in adapting the story was so good. Um, I felt like this was just astronomical. I love how the color red is very present. Certain points. I absolutely love how I love when colors are used in a storytelling way, not just by showing, the actual action or the emotion, but when you're putting a color in there, that's part of the story. It reminded me of this past weekend. I was rereading, binge reading Excellence, and that was a huge thing with Excellence. So what? And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, M. Shai, are they twins? I want to say they did some just incredible work with the art. I absolutely loved it. It felt gritty. It didn't feel stylized. It felt like really gritty and there and just it felt like something that would be in Clive. Like this isn't like one of those clean um future or near future stories where there's everything's very pristine. This is we're trying to live and survive, and these creatures are here. And I love the fact that we're not getting a an origin, or we're not knowing everything yet. I don't want it. I don't want that. I don't need that. Throw me right. Sometimes all I want is to be thrown right into the action, and you can give me flashbacks. I actually enjoy flashbacks more than I enjoy a a origin story. And this is one that is just astronomical. You comparing them to Noble and Astrid was very important
Yeah.
because there is that black love. You see even that
Mhm.
love, not just in them making love, but also in the way they fight
Yeah.
and having the back. And yes, it was funny because Noble was the one with who was the most powerful,
Hmm.
enhanced on that in that universe, and but Astrid was the one that was most dangerous,
Yeah.
and she had no powers. The same thing here. Um, I absolutely loved something that was also very important that I loved as well. And this is something I've talked about before because I have black women in my life, obviously. I came from a black woman. I don't know what you want me to tell you. The choice in hairstyles.
Yeah.
I loved seeing the different. I absolutely loved. I didn't know her hair was flourishing like that until I actually was reading the pages. I love the purple in there, obviously purple all day, every day. But I love seeing the different hair and seeing how it flowed and seeing how the hair went shorter, then began to grow out. Even pages like this, the subtle hint in storytelling with the color. I see you. I know. Yes, I see you. I see you. Absolutely love what they did. Huge shout out to Tia and Tahila. I hope I'm pronouncing the names properly. They did a phenomenal job with the arts and colors. Your whole art team, the whole crew, everyone here understood the assignment and just knocked this out of the park. Absolutely, yes. This is a win. Get this when it becomes available for everyone. But yeah, Fumes is awesome, absolutely awesome, and I'm loving. Yeah, just yeah. The color, everything works for it. Everything works. Yeah, good, good. And this is not biased. If it wasn't good, we wouldn't be talking about it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I won't have a bad comic that I don't like on like a show that I'm on. There's no point.
It was
That's
great.
all. That's all I can say. That's it. I don't know.
It was great. Like I said, I'm definitely, and like I said, we're both looking forward to more.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely. If you have a chance, folks, if you haven't already, please and go and check out Quirky Black Sci-Fi
Hmm.
Tales Volume 1 and 2 to see more of this. To see more of this universe that's there, but it's awesome. Also being told, book 2 does jump back and the violence does amplify. I kind of figured, yeah. I kind of figured, and we're here for it all. Absolutely phenomenal. this is one that will be rereading, because I read I read I read They Choose Violence. No, I read Fumes, then I read They Choose Violence, and I was like, whew, okay, I don't know where I go from here. It was awesome. So yes, I did. This was a joy, and congratulations. This introduction, that you're making into comic books, phenomenal work. Absolutely, you nailed it. Congratulations.
That's it.
Like, I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, I wish I had more superlatives or like that, but no, you nailed it. That's it. Cool. I'm loving this. I mean, more.
Love it. Love it.
You know, that's it. All right. So the next one that we've got, like I said, because we're just gonna keep. I'm gonna keep going to apparently to Global Comics. The next one is, I hope I'm pronouncing this properly, Gago, the Imperial Alpha. This is from Real Fiction Comics. This one threw me through a loop. I wasn't expecting it, but I think I went from something that was so gritty, and then I went to something that was kind of almost fantasy sci-fi, which was a nice, very blend to have. I'll be honest with you. So, like I said, this is from Real Fiction Comics. This is created and written by, apologies if I mangle your name, Chinedu Chukwuku. Again, I apologize. He actually wrote, and actually did the art. Now, the color artist is oh, my eyes are going. That's wonderful. 47, folks. It's going to happen eventually. This is Balaji Olelo, sorry, and Rufai Jimo. Letterer is Quisel Peach. This, at first, I was looking at it and I was like, it almost felt like Jamal Campbell's art, which is not a knock, which is not saying, no, it's beautiful. I absolutely love it. And it felt very fantasy, very intergalactic, very, yes, I love it. Basically, Gago is this supposedly immortal character. We don't really know, because the young girl who he's a guardian to doesn't believe him. Even because he says things like, in my 4.5 billion years on Earth, and she's like, oh, come on, seriously? What? Because it's such an astronomical number, you can't even fathom that number.
Yeah.
And he has, he's here on Earth to protect her, because she is supposed to be a user of magic, and the magic is called echoes, and there are different types of echoes. As you can see here, like once I got to this page, I was like, oh, we're going into some big, bold, intergalactic, sci-fi, fantasy art type stuff, and I'm here for it. Let's go. Let's do it. I don't even have the page up. That's how much I want to show this to you, but I don't want to show it to you because it's mind blowing. That's how much, folks. So, like, from this page alone, I was knocked. I was like, okay. The minute you see like hands and creating, yeah, you're going to get it. And when you see ethereal beings like this, it just starts being there, and you're learning about the universe and how there were like gods, and some of them came to Earth, and these powers, and there's this omniverse that exists. So he's been sent here. He is protecting her, as she learns how to use her echo, her magic, but they don't know what echo she has exactly. And there are 6 different echoes. The art, like I said, is just beautiful. I absolutely loved the colors and the way they flowed, and the use of color is so very important. When I was looking at it, I almost was like, oh, I love anything that kind of looks like Infinity Stones.
Yeah.
I love that look and that feeling, that vibe, and especially when it just pertains to coming down to Earth, and maybe there being this big intergalactic battle. Even from, there was just way too much here that was like knocking me on my butt, and everything that's there. And we go to, oh, that was quick. What the hell? No, wasn't supposed to be that. You're shown all these incredible, beautiful characters. Let me see if I can go and can. No? Okay, cool. You're shown he's on Earth and he's protecting her, and she thinks she might have the echo of Echo of I think it's Concoction, where you're actually able to create. You're actually able to pull beings from other universes into our world, but she doesn't know how to use it. So she ends up bringing this creature from another universe, and there ends up being this huge big fight. But even in then, you're not sure if that might be a different version of Gago, who is this like very tall, muscular, looking black man. He has locks, everything beautifully done, absolutely like just ridiculously done. Um, yeah, this will give you a better idea.
Yeah.
Apologies for that. The art, like even though like she just ends up by accident, ends up like this baby is sitting there, and she's like, "Oh, I didn't know." What have you? Meanwhile, Gago is he's very stoic. He only like kind of grunts everything like that. He's sitting there playing a video game. I want to say that's Destiny because it looks like a hunter right there. I don't know, but I'm just saying it looks like Destiny. And he gets up and he goes and wants to see it, and by that time the portal is closed, and you don't see the baby there. So then this is where I was saying that it felt like it was Jamal,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I see it. And
You
it's funny
definitely see
because
that.
like the hair looks like
Yes.
I'm having a brain freeze. Naomi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like, and even like the
Yeah.
muscles and everything, the way the light is hitting the skin, that's how it feels to me. And that's not me, that's not a negative thing at all. What have you. It just I love that feel. That feels very comfortable to me. That feels
Yeah.
very yes. And you see they're even talking about it. And these are the on hers is actually the custodial echo. I apologize.
Okay.
Custodial, but you see the different echoes that are there. And the custodial one is the one that actually Gago also presents because he is protecting her. It becomes this, it just releases this cool story how they talk about each of the echoes and what they can do, but she has no idea. She's training, but she has no idea which one she has. And Gago gets annoyed with her at times. But I think, but it's kind of like a father-daughter relationship, but she never calls him father. She only calls him guardian because she knows that annoys him too. So again, much like a father and daughter. This is the being that she brings through the portal, and they have to end up fighting a bit, and she's surprised by the fight. Also, the fact that I like that it's not hidden. They're fighting like right in front of people.
Right. Right.
So I like that it was like sometimes, we got it, to pull a Dragon Ball Z. Here, let's go out in the desert and let's fight. Sometimes I like when people know that there are things happening and we don't have to keep hiding it. That becomes annoying to me.
Yeah.
And it just, I want to see where the story goes because I love the space intergalactic soap opera, space opera kind of vibe to it of where they're going with it. So there are 3 issues I want to say of Gago, but this is one that it just felt very, it felt very comfortable to me. And I don't know how to like really feel about that. It feels kind of like an odd thing to say, but it felt very comfortable and very just pretty. It just felt pretty. And I like the story of him protecting her and everything. I think I'm in my very much protective mode now, even though I don't have kids. I think I'm in that mode, so I think that's why it hit me so much.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a bad thing. I always say that's how I feel watching Miyazaki movies. Like it's just kind of like a blanket kind of wrapped around,
Yes.
kind of you wrapping yourself with,
Yes.
That one that's right up my alley because of the space opera side of things. That artwork looked beautiful, as far as the celestial side of things and the planet. So I gotta go and get this now. It's another one.
Yeah, I sometimes I'm mad that I find out new comics. I'm like, damn, something else. But then I'm like, no, the bar is that high where everyone's putting in this really cool work, and I love that for everyone.
Yeah,
I love that.
You gotta add it. I'm gonna add it to the list.
Yeah. Something that I know you do not have to add to the list are Star Trek tie-in comics. I know you got that on lock. I know you already know what's coming out before it's coming out, which is what I really dig. And you've got some tie-ins.
Yeah. This one is mainly about Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. I know we have the page on here which focuses on the other books, but because this series season 3 is coming out next month. One of the things that I wanted to kind of talk about, or at least give people a heads up about, is that while you're waiting for these new seasons to come out, if you want to kind of fill some time with before that, there are the tie-in comics, and for Strange New Worlds, there have been 2 volumes that have been released, and there's another one coming up in August. And the cool thing is these are canon for the TV series, which is huge, and because sometimes the comics don't necessarily do that, but I've noticed that with this era of Trek on Paramount Plus, we've had the comic books that tie into the current series. So you've had comic books about Prodigy, Lower Decks, Picard, Discovery, and now Strange New Worlds. And it's been, these are ones that I need to catch up on or need to kind of follow up on. But because, like I said, Strange New Worlds has been in the discussion, especially over the past couple of weeks, with the announcement that the 5th season is going to be a shortened, season 5 is what it is. As a Trek fan, it kind of hurts my heart, but at least we got that much when most shows don't get that. I wanted to kind of focus on that, but I don't know if you have the other link that I sent, but one of the series is it's called Strange New Worlds, the Illyrian Enigma, which takes place after the events of season 1. So season 1 ends on a cliffhanger. I don't want to spoil what happens, but this picks up immediately after that, where let's just say the crew of the Enterprise is trying to find a way to save one of the crew members from a fate that they suffered at the end of season 1. So like I said, I think that's a good way of kind of expanding the stories that you see in this universe, because when you pick up with season 2, they're kind of moving full steam ahead. So I really appreciate the fact that this is all canon. But the other thing is the writers for this series are writers who actually have worked on this era of Star Trek, of Trek TV. So I think that's a big thing. So this is definitely, like, from the title, if you're a Trek fan, kind of the angle that this is going for. So this is the first trade, which has been, which was released. And then for Star Trek Strange New Worlds, the Scorpius run, this is the second trade that was released. And this one, it doesn't give a time frame as to when this takes place, like during the series, but this one is just it's a good old 5-issue series about them exploring. One of the big things about Star Trek, at least this period of time, and I think Trek in general, is that exploration was a really big thing. So in this one, you have the Enterprise is exploring the Scorpius constellation, and they're the first Federation vessel to do that. So 5 issues of exploration and adventure, which takes place maybe between seasons 2 and 3 of the series. Who knows? Or but it's once again another example of a way of kind of building this world. And then the last one, which has not come out yet, is called Star Trek. I'm trying to pull this one up. It is on that IDW page, I think, that you had. And if I can find it. But this one, once again, it just kind of focuses on the crew, and it's focusing on an away mission that it's another mission, basically. And that one, I'll eventually get the title of it, but that one is a part of the new launch of the most recent, like this year's launch of Star Trek, tie-in comic books. You saw that there was one about the red shirts. There's one about Voyager. And then we have, that's the one. It's towards the bottom, Star Trek Strange New Worlds. And they're on an ice planet. So that's the most that we've gotten with the description or the synopsis of the series. Yeah, the red shirt one is definitely one I'm going to come back to. I wanted to make this one like Strange New Worlds heavy, but they have like I said before, IDW has really done right by the Star Trek IP, the Seeds of Salvation. The other thing I wanted to point out is that most of the people on this away team are women. And Scout Spock is the only dude, and I love that. There are many times, like back in the day, where it was just very heavy with the dudes, but you have all of these officers who are, the best in, what they do. So I'm looking forward to the series and to this, mini series, and another chance to kind of expand this universe. The other thing is this is also written by a writer from this era of Trek. So they've done a really good job of bringing in screenwriters or television writers to help tell the stories of the universes that they're actually kind of playing in. So, but yeah, I just wanted to kind of hype up, tie-in comic books. I sometimes feel that a lot of comic book fans sleep on the tie-in books, especially for the fandoms that they really enjoy. And I always say that tie-in books are a really good way to just kind of find more stuff about these universes that you love. You don't have to just watch the TV shows. You don't have to just watch the movies. You can pick up a book or you can pick up some comics, which are solid. And I always feel that there's some tie-in stuff that sometimes is better than what's, on that's, been focused on TV and in film. So, but yeah, that's Strange New Worlds premieres on July 17th. And, check out those first two trades, before it comes on.
I think with tie-ins, I think because people are so used to there being tie-ins and they're more like a cash grab. I think some people don't want to try out the ties, but to have the writers from this era of Trek being a part of that, and the stories actually tying into the actual series, like being almost like a filler at times in between, like, well, this is what's been going on maybe since then, or this is maybe like a one-off mission that happened since that cliffhanger or what have you. That's more enticing, I would say, to go and get a tie-in, because a lot of times it is just we've had a lot of tie-ins for movies, and it just ends up being, it's not very good. It's not. But to have the writers there, I mean, that's something that says something right there, because you're going to get more of an authentic feel, which is dope, which is what we need more of. So yeah, and it's a nice way to expand, especially during the summertime, or like in between that break. And if you still want to, you're like, oh, you know what, I want to watch more. You can watch more, but you can also go read some of these great tie-ins that actually do pertain to the series or the characters, whatever, or maybe adds a little more depth to a character that you like, fleshes somebody out that you may not have gotten much flesh out of, which is cool. This next one. Okay, so here's the thing, folks. I reviewed a comic one time, and the name of it was, and if you know me, you know I don't use this word. That's why it's hard for me to review. And it was called Bitch Planet. The title is not what I expected the comic to be, and that's why that comic was so cool to me. So this one is called BytchCraft. It doesn't even sound right coming out of my mouth, honestly. But I remember hearing about this one a ways back. I don't remember what it was pertaining to, but it was just the fact that it was like these queer characters who were part of this school and were using magic. And I was like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. I love the sound of that. Let me check this out. So it came out, I want to say today, and it's from Mad Cave, which is another company that I truly enjoy. Mad Cave and I want to say Black Box Comics are two companies to definitely check out, because they're doing some dastardly stuff over there, and they're like very hush hush, but they've constantly got something coming out over and over. It's awesome. These variants are pretty cool. I like this one the most, I think, because it looks like a fantasy.
And this is the one where the author, he's passed away, right?
Oh, I did not know that. Is that?
Let me, as you're going through it, let me check, because I want to say.
Oh wow, I did not know that. Yes, please check on that. I want to see. Oh, his name is Aaron Reese.
Yeah, not to, and I'm not trying to bring the mood down.
No.
Because as soon as when I saw the title, he passed away.
Oh, I did not. Like I said, I did not know.
And so this was released. I can never pronounce the word posthumously, whatever, but it was dedicated to him. Yeah. So I'd seen the artwork pop up and they, it kind of confirmed that he had passed away. But go through the
Wow.
review, man. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't mean to
No,
choke you up.
no. I did not know if that's the case. I mean, this is a definite tribute because
Yeah.
from what I read, I didn't get to finish the whole thing, unfortunately, today because just my day was crazy. But I enjoyed so much of what I was reading and kind of the partnership between these three characters. So let me give you the credits then. The writer, as you were saying, posthumously, I want to say.
Yeah, that's the word I was trying to pronounce.
The writer is Aaron Reese, who has passed. Artist is Lee McCarroll. Um, a colorist is Bex Glendening. The names are even very cool. I love that name, by the way. That name sounds so very fantasy. It really does. Letterer is Morgan Martinez. Editor is James B. Emmett. Logo designer is Tim Daniel. Book production is Juan D. Posada. Excuse me, that was a book production. Book design was David Reyes. And they have a plethora of and this was thanks to because I remember seeing this from Stephanie Williams. And it's a special thanks to Stephanie Williams. I remember I just was scrolling one day, doom scrolling. I saw the picture. I was like, oh, this is cool. And the name stuck in my head, obviously, because it's a word I don't use. And just the idea of it was so cool. And this is from Mad Cave again. So we start out, we have these three witches born of a promise. Even that just sounds cool. So we have Idriel, who's of the all-seeing eye. He has a third eye. Michelle of Mother's Earth's flesh, and M of the living hellfire. So they, all three of them, kind of embody different. Like Idriel's more like the kind of heroic, stoic leader. M is going to be more of like the hellfire one, and Michelle is going to be more of like the grounded, earthy one as well. And I just really enjoyed the camaraderie of them. I'm not much of a wizards and sorcery like person, but I do get a hunger for it at times, and this one really felt genuine because of their friendship, because of how they spoke to each other, how they were trying to have even though they're trying to do a spell, and Edriel is speaking, and he's like, we have to get this right, and he gets right, and one of them goes, well, we would if you would shut up. And then after the next level of the incantation, they all fall.
Okay.
And it was just something like that just made me go, yeah, because that's what friends would do. Like you would try this as best you can, and they're like, oh, well, third time's a charm, and they try it and they fall, and it was just very, again, it was a very heartwarming thing. I'm enjoying comics that make me not just think, or that are telling a great story, might make me laugh or make me cheer, what have you, but that also are very heartwarming. And if there's a heartwarming core to the comic, whether it's a friendship, whether it's some manner of relationship, whether it's familial, whether it's platonic, whether it's romantic, whatever, that's what gets me, and it always makes me feel good. And then we have this character who is in the church, speaking about you're all going to witness you're all going to be part of a miracle, and if you're not a part of it, then you're going to witness a miracle today. And they're like, oh, may the miracle reveal all, may the miracle reveal all. And it does, and they're angels. And the angels, because when you see an angel in its actual true form, you'll go mad, and you'll lose it. Your brain will melt. So you just won't be there anymore. And that's what happens. And basically everyone is just done. And they're like, well, we received the miracle, and they're just letting it happen, obviously, because they're angels. So this is Lady Geneva. I've always liked that name for some reason. I think it's just because it has a G. I don't know why. I like G names. And she and they're like, it's not the rapture, though the lambs need to know, but rather a revelation. And just having the true form of angels, or at least what we can surmise they look like from their description. And I'm not sure what part of the Bible that they're described. And I'll be honest with you folks, I'm kind of a bit of a heathen. I totally admit it. I'm a heathen that likes barbecue sauce. I'm not sure how that goes, but even just to do that in this comic just made me go, oh, if that's what you're doing and people are like, they're just going away, they're not there anymore, I know that's a really heavy part of the story. Knowing that the writer has passed, obviously this is a beautiful tribute to them. And I felt very good. Like I said, I love those characters when they were doing that spell, and the second tier of the spell, they fall, and it just felt like I don't know. It just felt very. I don't just like I said, it felt very heartwarming to me. Um, go from there. So go and check this out. This also was on Global Comics. This one, I want to say this one released today, I believe also. I
Okay.
tried to pick a lot of stuff that was from today because I was like, you know what? I just want to go in and hit the ground running with these books. And this was one that just felt so nice and great. And also, with it being Pride Month,
Yeah.
um, it just felt like really good. And like I said, the title, even though it's a word I don't use, I like the title. The title just caught me off guard. I was like, yeah, that title's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It is. It is, yeah. So that's awesome.
Yeah, like I said, I don't apologize again. It
No,
was
no, no, no,
when
no, no, no.
when I saw the title of the book, I think it was I saw Stephanie Williams make the announcement, and from there
Oh,
I
okay.
kind of and it shows that it was so 22 weeks is maybe like 3 or 4 months ago.
Oh, wow.
If I'm doing the math right, like at least the
Sounds
post that
about
I
right.
found from somebody else. But yeah, they had spoken about the book, and I looked at it and I was like, that's amazing. But yeah, definitely, like you said, Mad Cave and Black Box they're killing it with the content. So I'm glad to see that this is out there for people to go read and check out.
Yeah, definitely think it matters. Something else that matters to us, obviously, as we are closing the show, is June is Men's Mental Health Month. Here on this channel, whether here or what's on the Hungry Bleak show as well, that I speak a lot about mental health. It's important, especially in the key community, because it's kind of it's something that a lot of us do can suffer from, whatever particular mental ailment it is. So this particular month, we're speaking about men. This is not to ostracize women
Mhm.
or anyone who's non-barrier or non-gender fluid, non-binary. I don't know why I said non-barrier. That's weird. Non-binary or non-gender conforming. Let, let me skid everybody a part of it. Um, but it just was because men, unfortunately, are for a long time we were not ones to share. Suck it up. Walk it off.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
that.
It was unfortunate. But yeah, one of the things, and we've had an episode on here in the past where we talked about ways to. I don't know if it necessarily dealt with like mental health, but it was just talking about different books, different. Oh, you know what? It was around the time that he who shall not be named was
Hmm.
voted into office, and we
Yep.
were trying to find those things that would get us away from this like deep dark place. So we've kind of like, but like we've kind of talked about it, but like Antonio says, it's a common thing that has been focused on this channel, especially with him specifically. Bringing it up as far as like self care and ways to deal with it. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about, or at least kind of focus on just a little bit, was the fact that June is Mental Health Month, and also, but not to like exclude any groups. Like Antonio was saying, it was how to look at this from the perspective of kind of geeks or nerds or like the stuff that we love, and because there are different ways that you can deal with stress and anxiety and depression, and definitely I would always suggest, and this is actually one of the things that I do, monthly I go see a counselor, just to to kind of check in and kind of decompress and talk about what's going on. And it's been very helpful for me. I don't have a problem with talking about it. I know that for a lot of people it's kind of taboo, but I think that it is definitely something that is more, people are realizing the benefits of finding a therapist or a counselor, just to kind of help kind of deal with and unpack whatever you might be going with. So dealing with. So one of the things that I always suggest is, if you can afford it, as far as with insurance, or find something that's, not as costly, look into it. And I think there are a variety of options out there, because we realize, people realize that it is helpful, to seek the help. You can always talk to your mama, you can always talk to your friend, but it always helps to sometimes talk with somebody whose kind of focuses just in that realm, of focusing on mental health. One of the other things that always say is set time aside to read, to decompress, or to unstress, de-stress or whatever. It could be a book, it could be comics. One of the things about the realm of geeks, nerds, and this geeky stuff that we love is that there's no shortage of stuff to read and check out. So, nothing specific as far as like, what to suggest. Read what makes you happy. Like I just described, and this will segue into the other topic. I described like Miyazaki movies as being something that can kind of swaddle you, or help you feel better, when things are going, things aren't going the right way. So if there are things that you watch, as with the books and comics, set some time aside to, decompress with a good movie or a TV show, something that can help you unwind. I always suggest something that is not excessively like violent or just like over the top. But I think, everybody gets something different from different things, different sources. So if watching a beat 'em up or a karate movie is something that helps you kind of unwind, then do that. Personally, for me, I got to turn on Kiki's Delivery Service or Spirited Away, because otherwise my mind is like still like I gotta kick some ass, whatever. But watching TV or a film, helps to kind of whatever helps you to decompress. The one other thing that I always love to do is playing video games. Now, definitely, playing a cozy game or like an RPG or something that is more individual or more solitary is another way to kind of decompress and, deal with stress. But I find that playing co-op games helps me to do that. I love talking with friends and hanging with friends as we take down hordes of zombies or take down hordes of evil aliens or whatever. But anything that allows me to just kind of chill on mind with people that I respect, that I love, that I consider to be really close with, helps me a lot. So just something to consider when you're sitting down with video games. It could be a communal experience or it could be like your individual experience. Lastly, exercising. One of the things that has always been suggested to me with going, with the counseling and with therapists, and actually from the doctor, because I'm someone that deals with diabetes type 2, is that exercising is key. It helps you just to deal with mental health. So there were a few apps that I came across. One being Pokemon Go, which is very popular. Everybody knows Pokemon Go. There's Pokemon Go, Zombies Run, Fitness RPG, Conqueror Virtual Challenges, and Marvel Move. Now, some of these are free and some of these cost, but something like Pokemon Go and Marvel Move are ones that you can download for free. The Conqueror Virtual Challenges, which has Lord of the Ring themed walking activities and Star Trek walking themed activities. Those do cost, but it's one of those things that each of these are geek themed. They are pop culture themed. They are things that you can have fun with and enjoy, but also you get a chance to exercise and you get to kind of deal with, what's going on in your mental. So, reading, playing video games, watching TV or film, or exercising, I think these are all things that you can do. And there are probably resources online which can explain, kind of in better detail of how each of these can help you, decompress and deal with the stress and anxiety. But generally speaking, these are things that I find have helped me to deal with my mental health. But like I said, in addition to counseling, if you have the means to it, I know it definitely is. It's not something that everybody does, but definitely those help me out during this month and during all other months. So just wanted to toss some suggestions out there, and hopefully they can help men, women, just everybody, with whatever you're dealing with.
Yeah, it's very important. Like I've said, uh, it's just they even say on here as well. They say, a lot of times, we focus more on men's physical health, getting checked up, which you should do. Obviously, you should do that, but also think about your mental. As someone who has dealt with anxiety and depression, um, it can really grab a hold of you, especially
Mhm.
in the Black community, because for the longest time we didn't have mental health
No,
issues. We were told
to
walking up, do
pray.
this exactly, pray, you're gonna be all right, don't cry, whatever, all that. And it ruined a generation, or actually more than a generation of us.
Hmm.
So now we're doing more of the work. We're going to therapy, we're talking about our feelings, we're figuring out how to heal from past traumas and break cycles, and that's a beautiful thing. So if you're a man and you're something doesn't feel right, you're noticing every day it's not right, speak to a loved one if you can.
Yeah.
If you don't feel comfortable speaking to a loved one, go to a professional, please. If you notice that someone in your life, if there's a man in your life and there's something, you notice something doesn't feel right with them, talk to them. If you don't know how to approach the situation, please talk to a professional. They are there. There are so many people out there who have gone to school for decades,
Mhm.
decades, so they can help you to be the best you that you can be. Um, it's like I say, when I ask, did you take your meds? Whether it's for a physical or mental ailment, I'm not trying to please you. I just want you to be the best you that you can be, whether it's for an emotional ailment, mental ailment, or physical. It's so very important to please just watch out for that, because a lot of us unfortunately succumb to it, and then we're gone.
Yeah.
So if you feel something's not right, say something. If you see something's not right with someone, say something. Again, if you're not sure how to approach a situation because it's not something that you're familiar with, speak to a professional so you can figure out how to help that person be the best them that they can be, because you can't pour into everyone else and be empty. You can't. It's not going to work. It's not. Been there, done that. I've had my moments where it got dark. So please, say something. Don't suffer in silence. Don't suffer. Do yourself a huge favor. Do your loved ones a favor. Do whoever you have around you, but more importantly, do it for you. Do it for you.
Yeah. One thing I did want to say is on like the topic of faith and counseling. Um, I think now you can be both. You can acknowledge, have whatever follow whatever faith or religion you do, but then also realize that there are people here who are going to help you through whatever you're dealing with. So that's something that I think sometimes we have a it's our our history as Black folks when it comes to
Mhm.
specifically Christianity and like we just discussed, but and there are even counselors who actually specifically focus on like whatever faith you're following. So I think that's something to also discuss that or at least acknowledge that they can be kind of paired up, hand in hand, um, as a Christian, So like I
Mhm.
said, the best help that I've gotten is from a counselor, but also one of those things about kind of praying and kind of standing in faith or whatever too. They can work together. So
Yeah, just find a counselor, a therapist, psychiatrist, whatever it is that you're looking for. Find
mhm.
one that complements you as best you can,
Yeah.
and that you feel comfortable. The first one might not work, second one might not work, but
Hmm.
you'll find one that complements what you're looking
Yeah.
for and what you need, and they're going to get you right and get you to be, the best you that you can be, like I say.
Yeah.
So on that note, folks, we've talked about a lot. We have talked about comics. We have talked about comics. We also talked about some comics. I think there was another comic that we talked about. We talked about tie-in comics. Talked about supernatural comics, sci-fi comics, vigilante comics. Um, a lot of comics we've talked about. Men's mental health, which is very important as well, especially this month, but also every month. Don't just take June. There just has to be a focus on it in June, but think about it all year round, because it's important and it matters. And so do you. And we want you to be the best you that you can be.
Mm-hmm.
So on that note, folks, I am Antonio Pomares, aka the Hungry Bleak. As with me always.
Rob the writer.
As with me always. Am I Zatanna? Am I doing spells in reverse? Which actually I have to read tonight. Which I have to read issue. But speaking of Jamal Campbell, I have to read that tonight because he's doing a phenomenal job on that. You all have a very good evening. Enjoy the rest of it. Drink some water. Take care of yourselves. And as always, F Trump. That's all I got. Yep. F Trump.